Before we begin, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command attention, while others struggle to be heard no matter how smart they are? The difference isn't intelligence, it's communication. In this video, you'll discover the hidden psychology behind powerful communication and how a few simple shifts in the way you speak can completely change how people listen to you. But before we dive in, if you enjoy content that helps you become smarter, more confident, and more influential, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video, and share this video with someone who could benefit from it. And if you find value in what you learn, leave a like and drop a comment below. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people. Now, let's get started. How to speak smart. Master the psychology of powerful communication. Part 1. The hidden science of influence. Imagine walking into a room and noticing something strange. Two people start speaking. The first person is incredibly intelligent. Their ideas are thoughtful, detailed, and logical. They clearly know what they are talking about. But after a few minutes, people start checking their phones. Some look distracted. Others politely nod but stop listening. Then another person begins to speak. Their words are simpler. Their ideas are not necessarily more complex or more intelligent. Yet suddenly the room becomes quiet. People lean forward. They listen carefully. Some even start writing down what this person says. When they finish speaking, people respond immediately. They agree. They cooperate. They follow. Now here's the fascinating question. What just happened? Why did one person struggle to be heard while the other commanded the entire room? Most people believe the answer is intelligence. Others believe it's confidence. Some assume it's charisma or natural talent. But the truth is far more interesting and far more powerful. Communication is not about the words you use. In fact, the words themselves account for less than 10% of your actual influence. The remaining 90% is determined by something else entirely. Psychology, strategy, emotional intelligence, and the invisible signals your brain sends every time you open your mouth. These signals tell people whether to trust you, respect you, ignore you, or follow you. And most people have absolutely no idea they're sending them. The invisible language of the brain. Human beings like to believe they make decisions logically. We tell ourselves we listen to facts. We evaluate evidence. We analyze arguments. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. Before the logical part of the brain ever analyzes your words, another part of the brain has already made a judgment about you. In milliseconds, this system operates automatically. It constantly asks 3 unconscious questions about every person we interact with. Is this person confident? Is this person trustworthy? Is this person worth listening to? If the brain answers no to any of these questions, something interesting happens. It stops paying attention. Not consciously, subconsciously. Your ideas may be brilliant. Your logic may be perfect. But if the brain has already categorized you as uncertain, defensive, or low status, your words lose their power before they are even processed. This is why some people struggle to be heard their entire lives, and why others seem to influence people effortlessly. They understand something most people never learn. Communication is not about information. It is about perception, the illusion of natural talent. Many people believe great communicators are simply born that way. They assume powerful speakers have a special gift, something natural, something impossible to replicate. But when researchers studied highly influential communicators, leaders, negotiators, CEOs, political speakers, and elite sales professionals, they discovered something surprising. These individuals were not randomly gifted. They were strategic. Every pause, every sentence, every shift in tone, every story, every question, all of it followed patterns. Psychological patterns that consistently produced the same result. Attention, respect, influence. The most persuasive communicators in the world are not improvising. They are executing a system, and systems can be learned. Why smart people often communicate poorly. Ironically, highly intelligent people often struggle with communication more than others. Not because they lack ability, but because they rely too heavily on logic. They believe that if their argument is strong enough, people will naturally agree. So they present more information, more facts, more details, more explanations. They assume clarity equals persuasion. But human psychology doesn't work that way. When the brain receives too much information, it experiences something called cognitive overload. Instead of processing the message, the brain shuts down. It becomes overwhelmed. And when people feel overwhelmed, they resist. Not because they disagree, but because their brain is trying to protect itself from mental exhaustion. This is why some brilliant thinkers struggle to persuade others. They confuse knowledge with influence. But influence follows different rules. Influence requires simplicity, emotion, timing, and structure. The power of framing. Every conversation has an invisible structure, a frame. The person who controls the frame controls the conversation. Most people enter conversations passively. They respond to questions. They react to comments. They allow others to determine the direction of the discussion. But influential communicators do something different. They set the frame first. For example, imagine two people presenting an idea. Person 1 says, "I'm not completely sure about this, but I was thinking maybe we could try something like this." Person 2 says, "There's an interesting opportunity here. Let me explain how it works." Notice something important. The actual idea may be identical, but the framing completely changes how people perceive it. The first frame signals uncertainty. The second frame signals authority. And the human brain responds instantly to these signals, without conscious thought. Authority versus aggression. Another common misunderstanding about communication is the difference between authority and aggression. Many people assume that speaking with power means speaking loudly, dominating conversations, or overpowering others. But true authority works differently. Aggression creates resistance. Authority creates trust. Aggression attempts to control people. Authority inspires people to follow voluntarily. The most influential communicators remain calm under pressure. They speak clearly. They do not rush. They do not defend themselves unnecessarily. And they never try to prove their worth. Why? Because authority is not something you force. It is something you project. Through certainty, composure, and clarity of thought. The silence advantage. Here is one of the most underestimated tools in communication. Silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. When a conversation pauses, they rush to fill the gap. They explain more, talk faster, add unnecessary words. But powerful communicators use silence strategically. There are 3 types of silence that dramatically increase influence. The first is the confidence pause. Before speaking, they pause briefly. This signals that their words are deliberate, not impulsive. The second is the emphasis pause. After making an important point, they pause again. This allows the listener's brain to absorb the message. The third is the invitation pause. After asking a question or presenting an idea, they remain silent. This encourages others to participate. And when people participate in a conversation, they become psychologically invested in it. Silence creates space, and space creates power. The respect equation. Respect does not come from intelligence. It comes from perceived certainty. When people sense that someone believes in their own ideas, they naturally treat those ideas as more valuable. This does not mean arrogance. In fact, arrogance often destroys credibility. But calm certainty has a powerful psychological effect. It signals competence, stability, leadership. This is why 2 people can present the exact same idea and receive completely different reactions. One sounds unsure. The other sounds composed. And the brain instinctively trusts the composed voice. The turning point. At this point, you might be realizing something important. Communication is not random. It follows rules. Invisible rules that govern attention, respect, and persuasion. Once you understand these rules, something remarkable happens. You start noticing them everywhere. In business meetings, in interviews, in social gatherings, in negotiations. You begin to see why certain people dominate conversations, why others remain overlooked, why some ideas spread rapidly while others disappear instantly. And more importantly, you begin to control these dynamics yourself. What happens next? In the next chapter, we will examine something that destroys influence before a person even begins speaking. 7 communication mistakes, so common that nearly everyone makes them. Mistakes that silently signal insecurity, weakness, and low status. Mistakes that train others to ignore you. The surprising part? Most people are completely unaware they are making them. But once you recognize these patterns, you can eliminate them immediately. And when you do, something powerful happens. People start listening differently. They pay attention longer. They respond more positively because the signals your brain is sending have changed. And when those signals change, your influence changes with them.